Cameron Sexton and House GOP leadership apparently want Democrats to continue voting in Republican primaries as the best bill is taken off notice after a decades long push to simply make sure Republicans vote in Republican primaries. It's disgusting and baffling. A bill shielding pesticide manufacturers from liability is taken off notice. Great work for Grassroots, but guess what? I doubt it's over. A new bill would revamp standardized testing requirements for Tennessee homeschoolers. I have no idea what William Slater is thinking. This guy must not have a whole lot going on upstairs. I'll get into it. Tennessee GOP senator introduces a bill ensuring foreign actors cannot hold federal elected offices. Charlie Kirk Act introduced for 2026 legislative session in hopes of having more free speech and less suppression in schools. Tennessee bill secures Second Amendment right for renters, and Republican bill would create accountability, at least some transparency for school voucher program. It's Brandon Lewis here with the 10 Con Big 7, bringing you the stories that no other mainstream media outlet will. Look around. We've been covering this topic of Democrats voting in Republican primaries for 5 years now. Have you ever heard a peep about it in any other publication? It's a 90+% issue with Republican primary voters. So you would think when a decades long push comes to an unceremonious end, that in the Knox News Sentinel and the Chattanooga Times Free Press and other things, you would see like this would be a big deal. I can't believe they did this. Their constituency has been crying out for this. It is utter crickets. Drives me crazy. Guys, if you want to subscribe to the newsletter, I'm going to get into this article. Go to TennesseeConservativeNews.com, hit the subscribe button, and you can also text the word news to 423-205-5600. That's 423-205-5600. You can follow us on Gab, Getter Truth, MeWe, and Rumble. If you appreciate what we do, go to TennesseeConservativeNews.com/support. Here we go. Let's get into it. House GOP leadership wants Democrats voting in Republican primaries, takes best bill off notice, and here's how we know that Cameron Sexton and the rest of the House leadership want Democrats voting in Republican primaries. It's simple. Every time House leadership consistently kills bills for year after year after year that are conservative, like a lot of the immigration reforms, they kill them in silence, kill them in silence, kill them in silence, and then finally, when there's enough of a groundswell, they go out and run the bills themselves to take the credit, to get in the limelight, to do the press conferences, right? Like, it is not teamwork up in the legislature. You got 4 or 5 ball hogs. It's Cameron Sexton and a handful of his cronies, and they're the ones that get all the bills, right? They'll take them away from people that presented them previously so they can run them, tell them that you can't run them, tell them that it's going to be killed, that you're going to be backbenched. It's all very top down. I can't believe that your average House member tolerates this crap. Boy, it must be easy to cow people. It must be easy. A bill that would have helped close Tennessee primary elections by requiring party registration has been taken off notice by Representative Susan Lynn, and it's out the fact that we've reached out to this lady time and time again so that she can tell you what the heck's going on. We've got no reply. So if closed circuit transmission to those of you who actually listen to this program, how often we reach out to these Republicans, and because we tell the truth, they don't like it. Because we're the only media outlet that's not corporately purchased, and we're the only media outlet they can't purchase with their ad dollars. And so they do not like us. So I would like to ask you, if you listen to this podcast, if you watch this, would you email, text, and call Representative Susan Lynn and ask her why it was taken off notice? Because she will not get back to our media outlet. And then once you contact Susan Lynn and ask her why this bill was taken off notice, then you can email me, Brandon at TennesseeConservativeNews.com, and just forward me her reply. We can get it in an article that way. That's usually what we have to do. And it's crazy because there doesn't seem to be another alternative bill. If there is an alternative bill coming, Miss Lynn, why don't you tell us about that? That would be helpful. HB 5119 would add language on the permanent registration record of every voter. And if you didn't want to be a Democrat or Republican, you could pick unaffiliated. Lynn initially introduced this bill last year, was asked to be rolled to 2026 when a similar bill by Chris Todd made it to the House Finance Ways and Means Committee. Both Todd's and the corresponding Senate companion were killed in the committee process, meaning you have Republicans in these committees voting that they need Democrats in order to get elected. So that it's very simple. Like when I report the news here, I just look at it and go, what's the most likely reason that this is like this? And in this case, it's you see it in the data because I've ran campaigns. I've been pretty successful at it when I decided to put my hand to it. And you look at people that have never voted and they've voted in Democrat primaries, and then all of a sudden a rhino runs, and then you see them voting in the Republican primary when they've never done it before, and there's this ample amount, and then you see in the next year they go back and vote in the Democrat primary. It's because they look at these guys that are killing these bills in these committee. They're back in their districts, and the Democrats are like, that's my boy. Not as good as a Democrat, but he's pretty weak, and I'd rather have a weak Republican in there than a strong conservative. So the reason these bills keep getting killed and the reason that leadership continues to allow it to happen is because they know that so many of their buddies up there that are in leadership absolutely positively require Democrat votes to help shield them from primary challenges from real conservatives. That's the bottom line. So guys, again, please do email Representative Susan Lynn if she won't get back to us so that we can tell you what the heck's going on, which I think is pretty rude. Then maybe you can email her and then we can get it to you that way. Next story. Bill shielding pesticide manufacturers, pesticide, did I say that right? Manufacturers from liability taken off notice. This bill sparked a lot of public outrage, and it was sponsored by Representative Rusty Grills. That's gross. Carrying this kind of bill is gross, in my opinion. You being killed by this stuff? Oh, we'll give you liability. You're growing 3 heads? You got cancer? Pff, yeah, just write me a few campaign checks. I'll carry that thing for you, Big Ag. You bet. I'm right in there with you, says Rusty Grills. So it's taken off notice, but I think this thing's going to come back. Big Ag's got so much money, and almost every corporation finds the big corporate groups that have given them hundreds of thousands of dollars because 94% of Republican leadership's money comes from outside the district and from special interests. They eventually get what they want most of the time. That's what I've noticed. These guys talk a good game on the campaign trail. Play like Democrat light at best up there when they get to Nashville on certain issues. Uh, Bernadette Pager of Tennessee Health Freedom Tennessee provided comments that Tennessee conservatives sharing her perspective, and she said, "quote The biggest factor was the relentless work of grassroots groups and their members, individuals, families, MAHA moms who never stop researching the issue and educating legislators." So we'll see. We'll see. I think this puppy comes back. I think this puppy comes back like a bad rash. Next story, a bill that would revamp standardized testing requirements for Tennessee homeschoolers. William Slater. This guy's had his fingers in a lot of real bad bills, and here's another one. Tighten homeschool testing requirements, potentially forcing homeschoolers back into government schools if the state deems they have performed poorly. Let me ask you a question, Mr. Slater. Right now, only 40% or so of kids can read and do math at grade level, meaning the very organization that you, Mr. Slater, are responsible for, the government school systems that are so bad that you and leadership had to create vouchers to get out of the school that you manage personally because it's so awful. Now you're saying that the kids that are not doing well, that are in homeschool, if they don't test well, have now got to go to the school that's so awful that you've got the vouchers trying to send them out of. Is that the story here? Well, let me ask you, Mr. Slater, what's your remedial consequence if we're going to put parents under consequences to go meet with school directors and talk to teachers and have this professional guidance plan, you got 60% of kids in Tennessee schools that aren't meeting your own damn requirements. There's a really good rule in life and in business, and that is this: mind your own business. Your business right now is government education, and it is failing miserably. It's expensive. People aren't happy. Every story, we got to run stories about kids being raped and molested. I'm talking, it's like almost every single day. And this is what William Slater and the legislature is in charge of, right? And this is the performance level of it. I think before you worry about anybody in homeschool at this point, you really need to think, Mr. Slater, How in the world do we get this in order? So currently, if a homeschooler is determined to be 3 to 6 months behind and their appropriate grade level is dictated by their test scores and reading, etc., a parent teacher is required to consult with the director of schools. So let me get this straight. One parent of a homeschooler, Mr. Slater, this is so idiotic. One parent of a homeschooler is behind. They have to go meet with the director of schools. Who's the director of schools meeting with when they got 60% or 70% or 80% of their kids that are not meeting grade level? Are we having this continuous conversation with these kids that are failing inside government schools with the school director? No, just the ones that are homeschooled, because God knows we don't want people to have any freedom to educate their kids. I hope the homeschoolers in William Slater's district get involved in his primary. I don't know if there's a homeschool group, but I tell you what, those homeschoolers are really active. They'll get out and knock doors. They'll take their whole family out there. It doesn't take but just a little bit of grassroots pushback to get rid of a state rep. Case in point, Patsy Hazelwood. Should a homeschool student who is not learning disabled, blah, 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 it's just a bunch of BS. Tennessee GOP senator introduces bill ensuring foreign actors could not hold rather federal offices. Senator Brent Taylor has introduced a piece of legislation that would bar anyone who holds dual citizenship or is not a natural born citizen of the United States from qualifying as a candidate for federal office. Very simple. The Trump administration is leading a challenge to such an interpretation of the Fourth Amendment, essentially saying that we're going to protect the meaning and value of American citizenship, which states that the U.S. government will not recognize or extend citizenship to persons whose mother was unlawfully present in the country and the father wasn't a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident. Um, I have mixed feelings on this, not about the bill that Brett Taylor has brought here, but more about the fact that the Constitution says pretty much what it says. And if they want to fix this, they really need to fix it through a constitutional amendment, probably. I'm not for it, but the thing is, like, we can't get on to one side for trampling all over the Constitution, and then when our side tries to administratively do a runaround, we're like, okay, that's great. Not going to appreciate it politically that they're doing it, and I agree with it. But that's one of the reasons you know that our publication tells the truth is that we don't mind telling you the truth about our own side. All right, we're not just brainless cheerleaders over here. So I think that's a good idea. That's a good bill. Guys, if you want us to keep doing this, do go to TennesseeConservativeNews.com/support. You can mail your checks to P.O. Box 625, Signal Mountain, Tennessee 37377. We appreciate it. Ain't been a lot in the mailbox here lately. A couple of cobwebs in there. I thought I saw a tumbleweed the other day. But um but nonetheless, you can do that. We'll give you a proud Tennessee conservative koozie, tumbler, directory of your elected officials if you get $50 or more, or a recurring donation of $10 or more. We'd appreciate it. The Charlie Kirk Act, introduced for 2026 legislative session. The first policy must be identical to or be substantially similar to the University of Chicago's freedom of expression policy. This is what they're going to ask these organizations to adopt. And it says basically, it is not the proper role of the university to attempt to shield individuals from ideas and opinions they find unwelcome, disagreeable, or even deeply offensive. No safe spaces. Although the university greatly values civility, blah, 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 we're not going to get in here and be this free speech Gestapo. I'm summarizing. And it says that the university is the home and sponsor of critics, not the critic itself. Next, Charlie Kirk Act states that public university or faculty member could not refuse to invite a speaker or cancel a speaker because the school's upset because the speaker's viewpoint isn't liberal. Basically, is what that is. A school or a faculty member could not also prohibit a student organization from inviting a speaker on campus for the same reason. I agree. Tennessee bill secures Second Amendment right for renters. You renting? You can be packing, at least soon. A bill states the landlord shall not prohibit a tenant or tenant's guest from lawfully possessing, carrying, transporting, or storing a firearm, part of any firearm, ammunition, etc., in the home, apartment, or business. Um, it extends to other locations controlled by the landlord as necessary to enter or exit the tenant's home, apartment, or business. Leases in place before the law went into effect will remain valid, but any clauses contrary to the new protections will be considered unenforceable. I can understand. I think if you got Second Amendment rights, you got them. And if you rent to somebody, you can't tell them what they can have in there. Um, and it has a provision that the tenant can bring suit. Will that happen very often? Probably not, but a good idea. Republican bill would create accountability for Tennessee school voucher program. Jody Barrett and Paige Wally have simply said, because I hate it when the stupid government puts any kind of program in place and they can't get you any information about it. And they try to hide it. I mean, the whole thing of calling this thing the universal school choice, blah blah blah, when it ain't universal. It's not 1% of the population. That's not universal. That's not what people think universal is. It's deceptive. It's wrong to begin with. They don't tell you that we're paying $20,000, to give away this $7,000 scholarship, and that we're double funding both the school and the new place they're going. Like, they don't tell that. AFP doesn't put that on the flyers they send out. They don't want people informed. They just want them persuaded. All right. Dangle the good parts out in front of people that are low information. Shove and hide the pile of steaming poo that's in the bill over here, because we can't be honest and straightforward with people and just tell them the truth. Because we get paid, right? We get paid by our corporate overlords as staff members to lie. As long as that money keeps coming in, as long as it keeps paying the water bill and the power bill back home, we'll be conservative, unless they tell us not to. And we'll tell the truth, unless the people who pay our salaries say not to. Must be nice. Mommy, Daddy, what do you do for a living? Well, it depends on how much money the corporation gives me. Old BL ain't gonna live like that. Here's what it would require them to report: the county of residence of each recipient. That should be easy. The LEA or school at which the recipient was enrolled at the time of submitting the scholarship application, or the private school, each recipient's grade level, and the annual household income of each participant. Very basic information. Should be easy. And it must provide the total cost and state expenditures for the program, including any third-party contracts, administrating costs incurred by the DOE, advertising, marketing expenses, and the total number of scholarships awarded. That's it. That's what we know so far, guys. So, I took the time, and I'm going to take a little bit more time. Gosh, I got this conference coming up, not this weekend, but next week. So I'll be out of pocket, and you'll be in the capable hands of Olivia or one of our reporters for the Big Seven and doing Yaffe. Because I don't make any money doing this, I make my money doing something else, which is, you know, why I don't have to go up to the Capitol and bow and scrape and tell you a bunch of lies and everything else, which is the only reason that I can do this the way that I do it. Um, but, for all the noise and thunder of that press conference about doing things against illegal immigration, there's some good bills in there. But the main things: employment, and education and benefits. Those are the three things you tackle. If you want to get rid of illegal immigration, I can write it up on a cocktail napkin for you. It's not a hard problem to fix. The other thing that irked me about the whole situation is, Jack Johnson comes out there and wants to talk about, oh, we could never do anything unless the federal government had somebody that was making us do it. They actually had the what to finally be conservative and vote the way their constituents want them to vote. Jack, we don't need President Trump to do jack squat. We need you to do it even when it's uncomfortable, unpopular, and every corporate interest and every reporter and every government employee is nagging you to do the thing that's the exact opposite of what your constituents want you to do. It's called courage. Unless you don't climb the rung in the legislature with a lot of that. But stow that. That's got to be left at home. I wonder if there's anything left when you come out of elected office. Like when all of it's done, you get so used to just compromising and bending over and doing this, that, and the over. I mean, at some point, I mean, does it just become part of your DNA even after you leave? I don't know. So just it's not very not a lot of teeth in a lot of that stuff. Some of it's pretty good, but some of it's not. We'll see what happens with the education part. Is it Jason Zachary issued a statement saying that there's like almost $1 billion in expenses that it cost us? Well, Jason, 6 or 7 of it's education. I'd get on that. Hopefully Bo and William Lambert will try to push this bill through. But heck, I mean, even here in Hamilton County, my own school board rep, Ben Darty, was like, yeah, we definitely want taxpayer funded illegal alien education. Yeah, we don't want taxpayers to pay for that. Sure, absolutely, positively, we want it. And all the Republicans either didn't vote or voted for it. 80% issue. Where are you getting your information? Why even go to office if you have no intention of serving the constituents that send you when you know darn good and well what they want? Baffling. Flummoxed over here on the mountain. So, and this Republican primary bill stuff, good grief. I tell you that who looks like a fool right now is the Tennessee Republican Party executive board. That's who looks like an absolute positive pile of fools. I tell you what, if we had good, strong leadership at the Republican level, and if the committee had voted for it, Scott, closed circuit transmission to all the people that are on the Tennessee Republican executive board, you'd be stripping freaking people's GOP designation faster than damn it. You want to run? Fine, run as an I. Run as a D, but you ain't running with an R. We've had a few, we've had a few parties that have done that across the U.S. State parties, very few. It used to be that the party and the GOP primary voter controlled the candidates. That used to be how it was. Now it's the party and the GOP primary voters live to serve the elected politicians' interests, and especially the party. The party thinks it exists to represent the politicians. They've got folks on that board convinced of that. You start stripping away people's Republican credentials who do the exact opposite of what you've asked them to do, you'll see a change. But our executive board in Tennessee has no courage for that. Not that I've seen. We've got a few folks sitting on the executive board that have some heart on this issue. We do. We really do. And they work real hard, but 70% of them are just wafflers, and probably 30 or 40% of them are rhinos. And then if you don't have anybody at the top making a bunch of noise, nothing's going to happen. But you start stripping people's Republican credentials, you'll see some changes. You only got to probably take away 1 or 2 bad actors, and you'll get some people's attention. Then they'll start listening to you. That's what I do. But you know, free advice is rarely taken. So, what's going on this weekend, guys? Well, tonight I think my wife's going to go hang out with one of her friends, have a sleepover as their house watching her parents' house. I'm going to hang out with the kiddos, try to go to the gym tonight. Got a whole bunch of work I got to get through today, and then I'll be working all day tomorrow because I'm getting ready for the Painting Profit Summit. We'll go to church in the evening, and then Sunday I don't think I've got any plans. I think I got to do some chores here around the house, and I don't work on Sundays hardly ever. But right before my summit, occasionally my mule gets in a ditch, and there's something that absolutely has to be done. So I'm hoping if I'm productive enough tomorrow, that won't have to happen. But it is, when you're in a hyper seasonal business, it all comes at once. Sometimes you gotta do something, right? So that's basically it, guys. That's what's going on. Pick up the phone, call Representative Susan Lynn, ask her why this was taken off notice. Email her, maybe she'll respond to you. Just send an email, and if she responds to you, forward it to me. Um, Reach out to Cameron Sexton, and and ask him, like, why can't we close the Republican primaries? It's been a decade. I mean, it's been, people have been begging for this ever since you've been in office. You've done nothing about it. Why? Why? Ask William Slater what he's going to do about the 60% of kids in Tennessee schools that don't meet the grade requirements, and are they going to be held to as stringent a standard as these homeschool parents are? Ask William Slater that. If you got any homeschool groups out there, I don't know when the filing deadline is. You might start looking for a candidate to put in there. I bet he'd be easy to beat. That'd be my guess. I'd give you some money. Um, at any rate, guys, that's all I got. I wish you the very best. I hope you have a good weekend. Get proactive, burn the phones up, pay attention to what's going on. Uh, this season, this election cycle, I've got so much stuff going on in my business, and we're making a major pivot. I can't be like as Johnny on the spot as we used to be, where I, like, send out action alerts and all that stuff and text messages and really make a big stink and go up to the Capitol and have a rally. I mean, things I'd love to do, but occasionally you have to know in your business when you add a big team, like we got stuff that we're building out. Like I got to be focused on the thing that pays the bills. But we're still going to get the big seven out. We're still going to get our reporting out. I just can't drive the activism bus for getting our reporters, or not reporters, our readers, to just like engage in the process, right? Just engage in the process. I mean, that's why we have it enshrined in the Tennessee Constitution that the General Assembly uh, isn't supposed to interfere with the free press. That's why it's the First Amendment, because we desperately need, in order to have a well governed state, a well governed nation, we have to have an informed electorate. And boy, it's a tough job. But often it only takes a handful of y'all being informed to actually make a big difference. We saw that on the pesticide bill. I bet 99.99% of people in Tennessee didn't know that daggum pesticide bill was even going through, or it existed. But because a very vocal minority got out there and got behind it, it made a big difference. But that's a picture perfect of like what big ag, big medical, big everything. You saw the huge rise of that during COVID. You saw how big everything trumps your constitutional rights, how big everything gets everything while small businesses get shut down. I mean, you saw it. I mean, it's just lurking there underneath the surface, working all the time. It's just COVID just exposed it dramatically. And they're the ones funding our party leadership in the legislature. That's the gospel truth. Run the numbers. They will not lie. They will not lie. Politicians lie like a Persian rug. Smooth. Smooth. Not a wrinkle in it. Low. Low and smooth. All right, I've rambled enough here, guys. Love you. Mean it. I'll tune in next week. We'll keep you abreast with what's going on in the legislature. Try to read the publication every day while it's in session. If you read something you don't like it, reach out to your legislators. Talk to your groups, your conservative groups, etc. Repost our articles if you think it's important. Try to get some attention to this. Maybe get some of your unengaged uh, friends and family members that are watching Fox News 18 hours a day to turn a little bit of attention toward the Tennessee state government, because we need their help. All right, guys, holler at you later. BL signing out.